Well, howdy there, Moose fans. Lone Moose here. Remember the old show Hee Haw and the little song Gloom, Despair, and Agony on Me? Deep, dark depression, excessive misery. If it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all, and so on. Well, if it weren't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. This is the third time I'm trying to film this intro. First time I was using my phone, and for some reason the phone turned at 90 degrees, so I'm sitting here. It looks like I'm laying down talking to you. Second time I re-tape it here with my action camera, and I forget to turn the microphone on. So speaking of which, yep, microphone's on. So anyway, been a lot going on here in my neck of the woods in Alaska the last few weeks. It's been just butt cold a few days. Coldest we got down to was -8, according to my weather thing up here. And just what's funny is a couple days before that, it was up in the 40s. Our weather's just as bizarre as everybody else's. But, during the course of the winter, I've been working on some leather projects, and I'm going to go over some of those with you. Kind of, show you different aspects of it, what it took to put them together, and so on. Some of the dyeing and staining. But I'm also going to do something a little different. And that is that I'm going to talk to you guys about a book. This book in particular. That book was written by a local author. She lives down in Homer, that I happened to come across. And, as we were talking, she wanted to know if I wanted an autographed copy of it. And I'm like, well, sure. What the heck? I love good books. And what this is, it's called Fleeing the Country, Rural Alaska Through the Eyes of a Child. Okay? Eartha Lee is the author. And she actually moved up here to Alaska with her family. I think she was about 3 at the time. They moved up from Georgia. And from there, pretty much, through her childhood, she lived up here in Alaska. They moved back to Georgia a time or two for winters. But the majority of her childhood was spent up here in a little town called Eagle. And Eagle's probably 50, 60 miles north of Chicken and not far from the Alaska-Canadian border. It was an old mining town once upon a time. And it's a really interesting book. It really explains what it's like living off-grid in the 1970s, 80s. When you go through the winters up in that part of the country, getting down to -40, -50 is nothing. And homeschooling, what it was like in Alaska at that point in time. And they actually would get packages of books, and there would be a proctor that would come out from the state, because the homeschooling program was run by the state for the rural residents. See how the kids are doing, if they need any assistance or whatnot. Her dad was, kind of a handyman, a forest firefighter, wannabe gold miner. And so Mr. Jason, if you're watching my video here, Jason's a buddy of mine. We used to work together. He lives in Utah, and he's kind of an amateur gold miner, gold panner. So you might find that part of the book really interesting too, because she was doing some gold panning and things. Apparently became very proficient at it at a very young age. So I'm going to put a link down below. The book is available through Amazon. Like I said, if you like a good feel-good story, and that to me is what this is. It's kind of like another book that I read quite a lot that was written by an author friend of mine up here, Alan Pointer, called Somewhere West of Rhodes. Living in Alaska is different. And this just gives you a different perspective on it from the eyes of a child. Now, I've also actually ordered 3 more copies of the book off Amazon, waiting for them to come in. And I'm going to have her write inscriptions into those books. One's going to go to my granddaughter, Elizabeth. She's, I think, 24, 25 now. And she was actually at one point thinking about coming up here and working at one of the local schools for a year or two just for the experience. But then, there's some family illness that she decided to stay down in Texas for a while. But Elizabeth's a big-time reader, too. She loves anything to do with books. And the second one's going to go to my granddaughter, Ezra. Yeah, she's only 3.5 now, so I'm going to have it inscribed, but I'm going to keep it for her till she's about 10. Because, you know, a 10-year-old would have no problem reading and understanding everything in the book. Because, like I said, it's written from a child's perspective. So, just kind of one of those things. I keep my fingers crossed that she wants to be, you know, she's smart as could be. And, you know, we'll get into and love to read and explore the world through reading. Third one, I don't know what I'm going to do with yet. But anyway, I'm going to walk you through some of the projects that I've been working on here. I've got a cell phone case. I've got a passport wallet, a couple of bookmarks, and there's one picture of one of the keychains on there, I believe. So I hope y'all enjoy this. Let me get off of here and let you guys start enjoying the show. And I'll see you on the back end. So what I'm going to do right now is sew this project right here together. This is a passport case and wallet that I'm making for a very close friend of mine. And you know, it's already been through the major steps. I've done all the stamping and the dyeing and the painting and the sealing, which you really got to do all of that before you do the sewing. And this is going to be manually sewn. I'm going to use what's called a saddle stitch to sew this together. You're probably wondering what these little brass things are. And here is one right here, if you can see it. I get these off of Temu. They come in a bag of 10. And these, you know, they're just little pins that this goes through the leather. And slide it back in on the back side. And what that helps you do is keep all of your holes aligned, so that, you know, as you're sewing this thing together, you don't get lost and end up with some weird looking stuff and have to rip it all out and start all over again. Now there's another kind of device right here, little plastic, kind of like a clothespin thing, that I could use these if I wanted to also to help hold it together. Again, this stuff comes off of Temu. It's cheap. A bag of 10 of these little things is like $3 or $4, and there's a bag of 25 of these little clips right here that they're less than $10. But believe me, you know, when it comes to time and everything else, it saves you a lot of money, heartache, and whatnot. So what I'm going to be using to sew this together is some 0.85 millimeter white thread. You can kind of see a little bit of it here where you have to sew this part together first. This is the credit card pockets right here. The passport goes back in here, and then you can slide whatever you want under these. So I've already got my thread cut here, and hopefully I don't tie this in a big knot while I'm starting, because where I'm going to start with this is right here. And I'm going to sew my way all the way around back to here, and then go again 2 or 3 more spots beyond to be able to tie it off and hide the knot so that you don't see it. I'll show you the first few stitches as I run through this. I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me for 2 hours as I'm doing all this. And if you can see that little thing right there, that's my stamp on it. When I do get around to creating a leather company, registering a company name and all that, it's going to be called Blasphemous Bill's Leather Works. And that comes from a poem. It was written by a gentleman by the name, I believe, Robert Service, written around the turn of the 1900s. He was living in the Yukon area, and it's a humorous, but kind of also dark poem at the time. But that Blasphemous Bill, that just stuck with me. And that kind of fits my personality. So it's going to be Blasphemous Bill's Leather Works. So first thing I have to do is take this little one off right here. And you basically push forward and pull. Because I'm going to start, don't have my glasses on to see that little, there we go. So I'm going to start right here. And then work my way all the way around, like I said, and then come back and go across this much farther. I'll tie the knot off right here at the end. So essentially, holding this, I'm trying to talk to the camera and everything here is a little bit of a challenge. So make sure I get, there we go, straight. Pull this through. This is the only problem with these little things, is your thread does get kind of gummed up in them sometimes. And I've rolled myself out about 6 feet or so of this white thread to do this. So essentially I want to, you know, it's kind of like lacing shoelaces. You want to even it all up to start with so that you're on an even plane. Let's see how we're doing here with that. Yep, right here. Okay. And the way that you do the stitch pretty much is at this point, find my end of this side. Come through from this side. Well, it's easier to do when I'm not trying to do it filming, but you know, you can see the guys on some of the YouTube channels and stuff that do this, and I mean they're professionals. And I've also got a stitching pony which would help hold this. I just have absolutely no idea where it's at. It might be in my storage stalls here in Alaska, or it might be in my storage stall still in Texas, or I don't think it's here at the container because I haven't found it yet or anything even close to it. And I just managed to sew myself into my microphone cord. So yeah, when you're first starting this out, the stitching pony is the way to go to help you hold it, and you don't get quite as gommed up here in the works. And just pull it down. I'm not going to go too snug with it at this point. I'll do that at the end because I'm going to go back and go over each one of these stitches. And I just went the wrong way. So I need to stop talking, start concentrating, and start sewing, and you guys will start seeing some results here. Now we start going through all 3 layers. And I'll come back and show you guys in a little while when I get back on this back end over here and ready to tie it all together. Like I said, you don't want to watch me sit here and fool with this thing for the next 2 hours. So I'll be back in a little while. Okay. 2 hours later, we're stitched all the way around. It's looking good. Right here's where we started. Right here's where I'm at right now. You see this side of it. All right, so what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go back through the hole where I started. Boom. Same thing on this side. Pull them tight. We're going to go through one more set of holes here beside it, and this is really getting tight in here. Come on. And then I'm going to try a little trick that I saw Chuck Dorset rather, from Weaver Leatherworks do to close something like this off. So I'm going to go up through this hole, but then up through the top. Boom. And the same thing, I get that over so it's not confusing you here. The same thing on this side. Through the hole, up through the top, and then what I'm going to do is tie a square knot. You guys remember what a square knot is from Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, military, or whatever? It's one of the strongest knots there is. Really simple to do. I'm going to shorten this up just a little bit just to make it easier to work with. Take your 2 loose ends. Come on down a little bit here. It's a real little easy rhyme to remember. And it doesn't matter which way you go. Left over right and under. Pull it down very tight. Right over left and under. Pull it down very tight. And then I've got a little device over here that I'm going to get out, which is basically a thread burner to cut my thread off nice and good and clean. Just got this in the other day. Ordered it off Amazon, I believe. If that was the case, I'll put a link for it down below, but it runs off of one AA battery, and essentially just hold the little black button down. It's going to start glowing and glowing. You see how it's getting nice and good and red? If I don't burn myself here, come in here and you just take it and cut through the string. Come on. On that side, do the same. It's sticking on me. There we go. There you go. Boom. Turn that off and set it out of the way. Use the edge of your pliers or scissors or whatever you've got here, and you push that down inside here, and you make your knot disappear. And then what I'll do is take this over onto my quartz block and tap it down a little bit, and it'll be secure forever and a day. But there we go. A passport case, wallet, for one of my best friends in the world, Ms. NR. Looks really good. I like the coloration of it. Now, again, this came from a Tandy Leather kit. So all of the pieces were pre-cut. All the holes were pre-punched. You know, other than that, it was a blank canvas. So I do my stamp and put my numbers in, my initials in here. And then I make all of these stamps. Everything I do is stamped. I don't do carving because I'm not that talented. So I do the stamping. These stamps here were all bought. You know, they were metal stamps. Basically, you just use your press or your stamp and a hammer, and once your material has been cased, which means you wet it and let it start to dry a little bit, then you do your stamping. This comes from an alphabet set, 3/4 inch. And then I had this stamp right here, custom made by some people I found on eBay. Stamp that and do the painting. And to do the painting on this part right here alone, that's about 4 hours worth of work. So this is a true labor of love for one of my best friends in the whole wide world. So I hope you enjoy it when you get this. And, you know, when you do, shoot me a message and let me know what you think about it. Now, what I'm getting ready to do is take and apply some Pro Resist to this bookmark that I'm making here. This is actually being made for a friend of mine that actually, she used to be my boss at VA at one time, and then we both retired from VA and ended up working for the same company, and we were co-workers for a while. So what this Pro Resist does, I've already stamped the leather. I've painted it with the Angelus acrylic paints. Let that dry overnight. Now I'm getting ready to put the Pro Resist on, and I usually put 2 coats on it, and then let this dry overnight so that tomorrow when I get ready to do the dyeing and finishing of this, it won't affect the colors. At least if it does affect it, it'll be very little. So that's what I'm getting ready to do here. It got the little dog, because she's got 2 dogs, field trial show type dogs that she's raised and trained and has a blast with. And of course, anything to do with Alaska has got to, of course, have the eagle involved. If y'all remember from one of my previous videos here this year of when the dogs and I went to the transfer station to take some trash there, there was 2 big eagles sitting on the platform. Well, I have since sent that photograph off to a person. She advertises on eBay, but she makes laminated die stamps. Okay, like that big dog face, the husky face that I've used on some of my projects you've seen here. So she's actually, I just got the proof of it today in an email, but she has made me the acrylic die for it, and so I'm getting ready to go ahead and order that one, and then I'll figure out something to do with that on some of my projects. You know, you never have too many eagles if you're in Alaska, that's for darn sure. And then of course this fish, which is painted more to look like a salmon than a trout, although they are part of the same family, the salmonids. But she's also recently learned to fly fish and fishes for trout kind of in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey area. So I told her if she ever wants to come up here, you know, we'll do some salmon fishing. And then the JJ, her initials. I'm done with this, I'm going to set it aside for about a half an hour to let this first coat dry in real good. And then I put a second coat on it just to be sure. And you have to be real careful with this, because if I get any of this on the outside of the painted area on the leather, when I go to do the staining, it's not going to stain it. I mean, this stuff really does work. Okay, so I'll see y'all back in about a half hour when I put the second coat on here. This is the second bookmark that I've got in progress right now that I'm about to, again, I don't know if you'll see it there, the Pro Resist, so that I can finish it up tomorrow morning and have it ready for delivery. Now, earlier in the video, I talked about a young lady I met up here that's an author. Her name's Eartha, and she's written a book about her childhood, growing up in a very small, what used to be a mining town, up near the Alaska-Canadian border, called Eagle. And it's a really interesting book. It's a great read. We've kind of struck up a little bit of a partnership. She's going to help me, try and market and sell some of my leather products, and I'm going to try and help promote her book for her. You know, kind of that's how things are done up here in Alaska. You know, everybody helps everybody else out. And there is, just a unique spirit. It's hard to explain until you experience it. You don't normally see this kind of cooperation and partnership down in the lower 48. So I made her a key ring and gave her a spare one, and she's already managed to find somebody that really liked that key ring. And the thing is, you can kind of give that away, and then the person gets the instruction. If they want any more, they have to contact me, and then I will make and sell them more. So kind of see how that goes. Now, and as far as her book goes, I've actually ordered 3 more copies of it that I'm going to have her autograph for me, and with an inscription of what I want on it. And one of them is going to go to my granddaughter Liz, who is as much of an avid reader as I am. In fact, she loves anything and everything book related. Now I'm doing the second coat on my old co-worker's bookmark here while I'm talking. And then 1 copy will go for my young 3.5-year-old granddaughter Ezzy. Hopefully, as she grows up, she will also be a person who loves to read. And maybe this will kind of do like my 5th grade teacher did with me, spark an interest in Alaska in her. And the third one I haven't decided what I'll do with yet. I may have it inscribed for one of my best friend Jason's. His son Andrew has finished up all of his college. He's got his MBA, and he's working his first job in Utah, and he's kind of like a nephew for me. I think I've mentioned him on some of my other videos. So I may have something done, an inscription written up for him, because he wants to come up here and visit one of these days. And so anyway, like I said, I'm going to do a review on the whole book here in another video, probably for next week. I don't think I've ever done a book review. I haven't done a book report since God knows how many decades ago in high school. So it'll be interesting. And I may make it a double and talk about another book that I've probably mentioned over the years, Somewhere West of Rhodes, that was written by a friend of mine who used to live up here on the peninsula, Alan Pointer. Met him about 10, 11 years ago, but unfortunately he had to leave Alaska before I moved up here due to some health reasons. He's a little older than I am. But his book, Somewhere West of Rhodes, I kind of consider my Bible. I won't say a whole lot more about that right now, because I may do a joint review on that. Okay, so that's number 2 on my co-worker's bookmark, and number 1 on Eartha's. So I got to do one more on hers here in about a half hour, and then that will wrap this up for tonight. And you'll see me again tomorrow when I go to do the staining, dyeing of these and finish them up. So y'all have a good evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so here I've got JJ's bookmark, and the way that I do this, you dauber into the gel, and you work it in circles so it gets in all these little lines and cracks and crevices as we work our way down here. And just like staining wood or anything else, you don't leave this on there for any real long period of time. You get it on, and then you start wiping it off. Okay, so we got it on. Now we wipe it off with paper towel. And again, I work in circles. It works very well for me. You can use paper towels, a soft cloth, you know, pretty much anything that you want that's going to get the job done. And then once this dries, I'll put a couple of coats of spray sheen on it. Now, I didn't do the sides for a reason. Is these great big daubers, I don't have any of the little daubers anymore, really tend to overflow, if you will, over the side, and it could get messy. So in this case, I'm doing it after I've done the back and the front. And you get in here and you get a little bit of it over, that's no problem. You just wipe it right off. Yeah, it's probably right smacking away. I can't see the camera screen. I'm using my phone here for this. I haven't been able to find my Canon DSLR camera for a couple of months until just a few minutes ago when I was looking for something over in my very messy kitchen area and found it. And the battery's dead, of course. So all the rest of, you know, almost all of this video is being filmed with my phone camera, which does a good job. I have no problem with it. It's just I like the other one a little bit better because it's got an external microphone on it. And boom. Okay. So here we have JJ's bookmark in briar brown color, and now we'll do Miss Eartha's the same way. Like I said, I've already done the back on this, and I'll do the sides after I get this part done. Okay. Now when I put the spray sheen on here, what that does is it kind of seals the leather too. So, you know, water and whatnot won't really damage it. And it gives it a bit of a shine. do that part, yep. And here we have the finished product of Miss, let's go this way so you can read it, Miss Eartha's bookmark. They're easy to do, especially using the stamps. Everything I do is stamped. I don't do the carving like I've said before. And then after I stamp it, you let it dry. Then I paint it, and then I put the resist on it, and then I do the staining and or dyeing and or antiquing or some combination thereof. When all that's good and dry, then it's time for some spray sheen, and it's done. So I hope you all enjoyed that. Let me get some other parts of the video put together here for you. Well, time to wrap up this video. Hope you all enjoyed some of the leather projects that I've been working on over the last 2 or 3 weeks, as well as trying to stay warm. It's gotten pretty cold down here, and now we're kind of warming up again. But the leather work kind of helps keep me sane, keeps me challenged. Something I enjoy doing, and everything I pretty much make I give away. For right now anyway. At some point I want to start selling, but right now it's just kind of going through some learning curves on some of these things, but it's been a lot of fun. Chloe wants pets. But anyway, if you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe. If you hit the notify bell, you'll be notified when I make more videos. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions, please leave them below. I try and answer them all. This is fun for me. Mentally challenging, but also fun. Now, in the next video that's going to come out, it's going to take things even farther. I have to keep learning new things, new skills. Painting the leather is one. But this one kind of takes me into my biggest challenge yet. And that's trying to paint the Northern Lights. Yeah. Now, I've got some three photos that I was able to take 2 nights ago when the Northern Lights were out doing their thing. So I'll put those in that video. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying these. Later on as the year progresses, the theme will change a little bit. But right now, this is kind of what's got my attention. So I appreciate everybody's time watching the videos. Y'all stay safe, stay warm, or whatever. I think I saw something tonight, another big Arctic blast coming down through the middle of the country here in a few days. So everybody take care. Lone Moose out. Or should I say Blasphemous Bill out? No, I'm not going to create another channel. That's too complicated for my aged old brain. But y'all be safe, and I'll see you on the next one.